a shadow began to rise again in the deep forests of Middle-earth. Far in the south of Greenwood, the Great, a fortress once abandoned, was filled with darkness once more. Its name was Dol Guldur, the Hill of Sorcery. At first, no one knew who ruled this place or what power had returned there. The people of the lands whispered of a mysterious figure, a master of dark arts known only as the Necromancer. Yet behind this veil of secrecy, a far more terrifying truth awaited. It was none other than Sauron himself, slowly weaving his return into the world. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe for more journeys through the hidden tales of Middle-earth. There are countless stories behind the stories we know, and this is one of the darkest. The fortress of Dol Guldur became a center of fear. From it, the forests around began to wither, and evil creatures crept through the woods. Spiders grew in number, and the once bright Greenwood earned a new name: Mirkwood, the Forest of Shadows. The White Council, the wisest of the Eldar and the Istari, began to take notice. Galadriel, Elrond, Saruman, and Gandalf himself debated over who this necromancer truly was. Saruman, who at this time still posed as a trusted ally, argued that the necromancer was no great threat, hoping to delay action for his own secret designs. But Gandalf was never convinced. In the year 2845 of the Third Age, Gandalf entered Dol Guldur in disguise. What he discovered there was dreadful. Among the dungeons of the Dark Fortress, he found Thran II, the father of Thorin Oakenshield, last of the line of Durin to bear the title of King under the Mountain. Thrain had been captured by the Necromancer and tormented until his mind was nearly broken. From him, Sauron seized the last of the Seven Rings given long ago to the Dwarf Lords. Thrain, broken and dying, entrusted Gandalf with the key and map that would one day guide Thorin and his company to reclaim Erebor. Shortly after, Thrain perished, and Gandalf barely escaped Dol Guldur with his life. Gandalf now knew the truth. The necromancer was no mere sorcerer. He was Sauron, the fallen Maya, the Dark Lord returned in secret. Though weakened, his spirit had taken shape once again, and from Dol Guldur he was slowly gathering his strength. When Gandalf reported this to the White Council, Saruman again counseled caution. He insisted that there was no need to attack Dol Guldur, claiming the Dark Lord could not yet return. In truth, Saruman feared that a direct strike might drive Sauron away before he could locate the One Ring for himself. But the shadow did not wait. By the year 2941, the same year as Bilbo Baggins' unexpected journey, the council finally decided to act. Together, they drove Sauron from Dol Guldur in what became known as the White Council's assault. Yet this was not Sauron's defeat. It was merely his retreat. From Dol Guldur, he fled back to the east, and soon afterward openly declared himself in Mordor, raising once more the dreadful Barad-dûr. Dol Guldur had been only a stepping stone, a place to gather his power and a test of the will of his enemies. The return of Sauron in Dol Guldur was more than just a dark secret. It was the beginning of the end of the Third Age. It set the stage for the War of the Ring, for the rise of the Nazgûl, and for the greatest struggle Middle-earth would ever know. Dol Guldur was not only a fortress, it was a symbol, a reminder that evil, no matter how deeply it is cast down, will seek always to rise again. What do you think? Should the White Council have acted sooner, or was the Shadow's return inevitable? Let me know your thoughts. And And if you want to continue uncovering the hidden histories of Middle-earth, don't forget to subscribe and join me on the next journey. When we speak of Middle-earth's mysteries, few stories are as dark, tragic, and strangely essential as the hunt for Gollum. This tale, set in the years before The Lord of the Rings, is now being brought to life in the upcoming film, The Hunt for Gollum, and it promises to explore a shadowy chapter of Tolkien's legendarium that has long been left in whispers and fragments. But what exactly was the hunt for Gollum? Why did it matter so much to the fate of the One Ring? And what can we expect from a film that dives into this secret pursuit? To begin, we must remember who Gollum was. Once a hobbit-like creature named Sméagol, he was twisted and corrupted by the One Ring, which he found after killing his cousin Diagol. For centuries he hid in the dark caves beneath the Misty Mountains, consumed by his precious and broken by its power. But when Bilbo Baggins stumbled into those tunnels during his quest with Thorin Oakenshield, the ring slipped from Gollum's grasp and into Bilbo's pocket. This single moment changed the history of the Third Age. The ring was once again in play, and Sauron, slowly rebuilding his power in Mordor, began to search for it. By the time of the Fellowship of the Ring, Gollum had already left the safety of his caves, drawn out by the loss of his precious. And it was during these years that Gandalf the Grey grew suspicious. He feared that Sauron might learn of the ring's whereabouts through Gollum. And so, a hunt began. Aragorn, heir of Isildur, became the key figure in this pursuit. His task was dangerous beyond measure: to track a creature who knew every shadow and could slip unseen through mountain passes and dark forests. The hunt for Gollum is, in essence, Aragorn's untold story. For years he searched through Mirkwood, along the banks of the Anduin, across the dead marshes, and even into the borders of Mordor itself. At last, Aragorn succeeded. Gollum was captured and brought to the Elves of Mirkwood, where Thranduil's halls became his prison. But imprisonment could not chain his obsession. In time, Gollum slipped away again, aided by shadows and by the growing power of Mordor. Why does this story matter so much? Because in his wanderings and in his torment, Gollum revealed fragments of knowledge to Sauron's servants. He confessed that the ring had been found by Baggins in the land of Shire. And with that, the eye of Sauron turned towards the hobbits, setting the stage for Frodo's perilous journey. The upcoming film promises to bring this shadowy tale to light. Unlike the grand battles of The Lord of the Rings or the sweeping epics of The Hobbit, The Hunt for Gollum will focus on a story of pursuit, secrecy, and moral conflict. On one side, Aragorn, torn between duty and compassion, and on the other, Gollum, a creature torn apart by his own addiction. But the heart of the film will likely rest on a deeper question. Is Gollum only a villain, or is he also a victim? Tolkien's genius was in painting Gollum with layers of pity and horror. He is both loathsome and tragic, both dangerous and necessary. Without him, Frodo could not have succeeded, and the ring would never have been destroyed. For fans of Middle-earth, this story offers something rare, a chance to see the hidden threads that bind the saga together. It is not about armies clashing on the Pelennor fields, nor about mighty wizards facing Balrogs, but about the quiet, desperate struggle of two figures in the shadows, one chasing, one fleeing, both shaping the destiny of the world. And so, as we await the release of the hunt for Gollum, we stand at the edge of a story that bridges silence and catastrophe, a tale of shadows before the storm. It is a reminder that even the smallest, strangest lives can tip the balance of the ages. So stay with us as we continue to explore Tolkien's world. Subscribe if you love deep dives into the mysteries of Middle-earth, because this is only the beginning. The Battle of the Five Armies stands as one of the most chaotic and tragic moments in Middle-earth's Third Age. It was not just a battle for gold or treasure, but a conflict born of pride, vengeance, and fear. After Smaug the dragon was slain by Bard the bowman, the lonely mountain, Erebor, once again lay open. Inside, it lay the immense hoard of gold the dragon had amassed over centuries. Thorin Oakenshield, having reclaimed his ancestral home with the help of Bilbo and his companions, quickly fell to the same curse that had doomed Smaug, dragon sickness. The lust for gold consumed him. He ordered the gates of Erebor sealed and refused to share a single coin with anyone, even those who had helped him reclaim it. Meanwhile, the news of Smaug's death spread like wildfire. From the ruins of Lake Town rose a desperate people led by Bard, who sought help and reparations from Thorin. To the south, the Elven King Thranduil marched with his host to claim his share, for the elves of Mirkwood had long suffered under Smaug's shadow. And in the distant mountains, rumors spread among dwarves and men alike that the treasures of Erebor were free for the taking. Yet in the east, something far darker moved. The orcs and wargs of the Misty Mountains, once servants of Sauron, were gathering under Bolg, son of Azog. Their purpose was not gold, but vengeance. They sought to destroy Thorin and his kin once and for all. As armies closed in, Bilbo alone tried to act as a voice of reason. Realizing the coming slaughter, he secretly delivered the Arkenstone, the heart of the mountain, to Bard and Thranduil, hoping it would buy peace. But Thorin, blinded by greed and rage, saw only betrayal. His friends turned away, and Erebor became a fortress of pride. At dawn, the armies met before the gates of the Lonely Mountain. Elves and men stood against dwarves. Words turned to arrows, and arrows turned to blood. Just as war seemed inevitable, a dark cloud appeared in the distance, the coming horde of Bolg's orcs. For the first time, enemies became allies. Elves, men, and dwarves joined together to face a greater evil. The Battle of the Five Armies had begun. Chaos consumed the valley. The orcs poured from the mountains, their numbers countless. Eagles swooped from the skies, and Bjorn, the Skin Changer, descended in fury, scattering foes like dry leaves. Thorin, realizing his madness too late, led a final charge with Fili and Kili beside him. Together, they struck at the heart of Bolg's army. But the price was terrible. Thorin and his nephews fell, their valor unmatched, their story ending in sorrow. When the battle finally ended, the field was silent. Countless lives had been lost. The treasure was no longer a prize. It was a curse fulfilled. Bard took only what was needed to rebuild Lake Town. Thranduil turned away, his people weary of grief. And Bilbo, carrying the weight of all he had seen, quietly returned home, changed forever. The Battle of the Five Armies was not a victory. It was a lesson, a warning that greed and pride can undo even the noblest of quests. the mountain was reclaimed, but the cost was too great. Before we continue deeper into Middle-earth's greatest legends, make sure to like, subscribe, and join our fellowship. Together, we'll uncover the stories behind every sword, every kingdom, and every shadow that shaped this world. In the end, the lonely mountain stood once more, but its halls echoed with silence. The age of dwarves was waning, and in the distance, the shadow of Sauron began to stir again. The peace bought at Erebor would not last forever. For Middle-earth is never free of darkness, only waiting for the next storm to rise. The shadow of Sauron had not faded. It had only grown bolder. In the waning centuries of the Second Age, the Dark Lord rose once more in Mordor. There he rebuilt Barad-dûr, his dark tower, and forged the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom. With it, he enslaved the kings of men and spread his power like a storm across Middle-earth. Though Númenor had perished beneath the sea, the faithful had endured. Led by Elendil, they had founded the realms of Arnor in the north and Gondor in the south. And from the ancient wisdom of Númenor, they built cities, towers, and walls to hold back the dark. But Sauron's reach was growing, and in time, war became inevitable. He assaulted Gondor with fire and darkness. He took Minas Ithil, Isildur's city, and defiled it, stealing the White Tree and mocking the line of kings. From there, his forces poured out to destroy all that men and elves had built. But not all in Middle-earth would yield. In Lindon, the last stronghold of the High Elves, Gil-galad, High King of the Noldor, saw the peril with clear eyes, and he reached out to Elendil, his ally in the west. Together, they forged the greatest force seen since the First Age, an alliance of elves and men, the last alliance, from Rivendell and Lothlorien, from Lindon and Greenwood the Great. Elves marched in gleaming armor, bearing blades that had tasted the blood of dragons. From Arnor and Gondor, from Pelagia and Annúminas, the Dunedain came with tall spears and banners of the west. Even some dwarves of Khazad-dûm lent their axes to the cause. Though few in number, they struck with fury and honor. The united hosts met in Rivendell, where they held council and swore oaths. And then they marched. If you're enjoying this journey through Middle-earth, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more tales from Tolkien's Legendarium. New lore episodes every week. Thousands upon thousands moved eastward, across plains and through mountain passes. Their destination, Dagorlad, the battle plain, before the very black gate of Mordor. And there, they met the armies of Sauron, orcs beyond counting, led by monstrous captains, men of the east corrupted by lies and power, trolls armored in iron, and beasts not seen since the Elder Days. The battle was vast. It raged across miles of wasteland, from marsh to mountain. For days and nights they fought, and the cries of war shook the very earth. At last, the forces of Sauron were broken, but victory came at great cost. The plain was soaked with blood, and the dead lay in mounds, yet the war was not done, for Sauron still held Barad-dûr, and so the last alliance laid siege to his fortress. For 7 years they remained in Mordor, 7 years of ash and shadow, of starvation and plague. They built walls, dug trenches, and fought raids by orcs in the night. Inside Barad-dûr, Sauron waited, watching, biding his time. And when the hour came, he descended from his tower to face them himself. Wielding the One Ring, he came forth in black armor, tall and terrible. His presence bent the will of lesser men. His strength shattered shields and turned the ground to fire. At the foot of Mount Doom, he faced Elendel and Gil-galad. There, in that dark hour, the kings of elves and men fought Sauron in single combat. Their blades gleamed with ancient power, and for a time, they held their own. But the enemy was too great. Gil-galad fell, his body burned by the touch of the ring. Elendel was struck down, his mighty sword broken beneath him. Yet hope remained. Elendel's son, Isildur, rose from the ashes of defeat. He took up the shattered sword, Narsil, and with its broken blade, he struck. He severed the One Ring from Sauron's hand. And in that moment, the Dark Lord was undone. His body collapsed. His spirit fled, a whisper of malice in the wind. The siege was lifted. Barad-dûr crumbled from within, and the Second Age came to its end. But Isildur did not destroy the ring. He claimed it, and with that choice, the seeds of a greater darkness were sown. What was meant to be the end of evil became only the end of an age.